Hello, geometry students. Mr. Zacek back and better than ever. And we're going to, in Unit 10, Lesson 5, we are looking at radian measure. And the question we want to answer today is how do we convert from radians to degrees? Or from degrees to radians and vice versa. Okay, and some of you are like, you're probably, well, what is a radian? So as we progress in our study of mathematics and angles, you'll see more references made to the term radians instead of degrees. So the question is, what is a radian? Very similar to like how we have feet and we have meters, and they're both measurements of distance. A radian is a measurement of an angle. So this green box here, the definition of a radian is the radian measure theta of a central angle is defined as the ratio of the length of the arc the angle subtends S by the radius of circle R. So if you look at this, the radian is this distance right here, S, along this circle, is the length of the radius, okay? And so the angle that creates is called 1 radian. So we have a kind of a formula that's helpful to remember. Theta equals S over R. S is the length of the arc, and R is the length of the radius, which gives us an arc length formula, which we'll be talking about a little bit in a future lesson. S equals theta R, or sometimes it's S equals R theta, you'll hear people say. So that word subtend, that's kind of a new word. Subtend means to be opposite to. So arc AB subtends angle theta. So it's opposite that angle. So as we said, 1 radian is the central angle that subtends an arc of 1 radius. So again, the length of AB here would be 1 radius, and that would be what we would call 1 radian. So in a circle, the arc measure of the entire circle is 360, and the arc length of the entire circle is represented by the formula C equals pi times the diameter, or C equals 2 pi r. That's the circumference formula. So if we put that formula into our S equals theta r, what we see is that 360 degrees is 2 pi radians. So for our purposes, it's helpful to think of 2 pi is 360 degrees. Pi is 180, half of it. Well, what's half of pi? That's 90. So this is a 90-degree angle. This is a 180-degree angle. This is a 270-degree angle. And this would be obviously a 360-degree angle would be 2 pi. All right. So a formula, and this will be kind of what we'll focus on. The formula is 1 radian equals 180 over pi. And degrees, so degrees is 1 degree equals pi over 180. So if we want to convert from degrees to radians, here's how we're going to do that. We're going to take the angle and we're going to multiply it by pi over 180. And if we want to go the other way, if we're given an angle in radians and we want to convert it to degrees, then we're going to take the angle and multiply it by 180 over pi. Okay, so from degrees to radians, pi over 180. From radians to degrees, 180 over pi. Let's go ahead and do some examples. So convert to radians. So we're going to convert to radians. It means we're going to multiply the angle times pi over 180. Okay. So times pi over 180. So this is going to equal 120 pi over 180. Now what we like to do is just simplify that, and if you have your graphing calculator, when you simplify it, you want to leave the pi part of it out. Just go ahead and do your fraction template. 120 divided by 180 is 2/3. So because 60 goes into both of those numbers. So this simplifies to be 2 pi over 3 radians. Okay, so 240, same thing. We're going to multiply it by pi over 180. So we take our calculator, and we have 240 0 over 180. That's going to simplify to be 4/3. So this would equal 4 pi over 3 radians. 520, same idea. Multiply it by pi over 180. So it's going to be 520 pi over 180. And we're going to just simplify it. We're going to leave that, leave the pi out in the simplifying step. Go back, 520 over 180. 26/9. Okay, so 26 pi over 9 radians. And negative 500, again, we're going to multiply by pi over 180. And so we're going to put in our fraction template, negative 500, 0, 0. Okay, divided by 180. Negative 25 over 9. So 500 pi over 180. So this would be negative 25 pi over 9 radians. And again, the reason they use this is it works a lot easier in a lot of formulas, a lot of scientific formulas. And as you study more of that, that becomes more clear. For now, it feels new and foreign to us. So we're going to convert to degrees. We're going to multiply the angle. We're going to flip it around now. So we're going to take the angle and we're going to multiply it by 180 divided by pi. Okay, so let's do that. So we take this 180 divided by pi. Well, that would be 180 pi over 3 pi. And what you'll notice is the pi's cancel each other out. 180 divided by 3 is 60 degrees. Okay, so 3 pi over 4, we're going to multiply by 180 over pi. So you multiply your numerators. 3 times 180 would be 540 pi over 4 pi. The pi's divide and become 1. 540 divided by 4 is 135. So that would be 135 degrees. 3 pi over 7, again, real simple. Multiply it by 180 over pi. So 3 times 180 is 540 pi over 7 pi. So 540 divided by 7 is 540 divided by 7. So we leave that in there. Did I do that right? 3 times 180 is 540. I think I did that right. Let's just make sure. Yeah, and then divided by 7. So that doesn't simplify, so we can just leave it like, you know, cancel this out. 540 over 7 degrees. And obviously, if you want to get that as a decimal or something, you know, we can do 540 divided by 7, control enter, 77.14 degrees. All right, and then the last one here, we're converting to degrees, so it's 180 over pi. So this would be 7 times 180. Let's see, what is that? 7 times 180 is 1260. So negative 1260 pi over 6 pi. Again, the pi's divide out. we've got negative 1260 divided by 6, 210. So that would be negative 210 degrees. All right, so things you want to remember: how to convert from one to the other. So we're going 2 radians, it's pi over 180. We're going 2 degrees, it's 180 over pi. And then it's helpful to keep this formula in mind as well when we get into some of our circle stuff later, this idea that S equals R theta or theta R. That's another one that will come into play a little bit more as we explore circles. All right, quick one, and assignment should be quick, and I'll see you back here soon.